What is going on, guys? No Plan B basketball is here on Friday, March 18th. In a lot of leagues, the season is coming to a critical point. We're getting closer to playoffs, and someone who is facing that right now is Miss Devon Brookshire, playing basketball in Portugal professionally in the first league in the women's basketball. She came a long way from California, having a first pro season in Ireland, which was very special to her because she lived in a guest family over there. And she told us her whole story about how she got into professional basketball, how she played in different countries in Europe, what challenges she faced. Joe and I sat down with her and spoke about all of this. So enjoy this episode very much, and I'll give it up for Miss Devon Brookshire.
The way that we played basketball this year, the way that we trained was extremely intense.
I mean, it's a win-win. You're improving your performance by enhancing your recovery when using PSR, and you're adding extra years onto your career.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the No Plan B podcast. That's my homie Rene. And we also have our guest who has a jumper. She's got a handle. She can take you down in the post and bully ball you, but she'd rather just take you off the dribble and shoot three. She's a baller. Devon Brookshire. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, we had a bit of a technical difficulty, and and Devon's been so nice, and she's hung in there with us, and now she's back again with us, and we're so happy to have her. And so, for me and Rene, we apologize about the little bit of the holdup, but now we can get it in.
All good. Third time's a charm.
Awesome. So let's talk about the pro basketball journey and how it all began. When did you fall in love with this basketball that we all love?
I started playing when I was 5, and I kind of played all the sports when I was little, tested them all out, learned, the ones that weren't quite for me. And then I just really fell in love with the game pretty young. By the time I was like 9 or 10, I knew I wanted to play in college, and then hopefully professionally afterwards. So it's been a long and crazy journey, but a really fun and gratifying one as well.
Very nice. So let's turn the clock back a bit. How was your high school experience? Did you also, was there like a AAU circuit, or was there other little leagues that you could play in too? And how was that?
Yeah, high school was a great experience. I went to Bishop Montgomery in Southern California, and I went because my coach from when I was in like 5th grade, she was the head coach at the time. So I had kind of played for her already, and really we had a good relationship. So high school was great. I did play in the AAU circuit as well. And, spent my summers and all the viewing tournaments, traveling all over the place. My junior year of high school, unfortunately, I tore my ACL. So that, just timing wise, was not great for recruiting purposes, because colleges were trying to get players signed, and they wanted to see how I came back. And I was like, I'm going to be good, but I had to wait and see. And by the time I came back, like, a lot of spots were filled. But I ended up coming back my senior year and having like the best season that I'd had. And eventually ended up signing with Northwestern coming out of high school. So so that's how that went.
That's awesome. And of course, I have to, ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite petty from time to time. So I have to say that for all of the universities that passed on Devon, okay, that didn't think she was going to come back from that injury, guess what, people? She's getting paid to play basketball, people. She's on a journey, people, world journey. So you ended up at Santa Clara, is that correct? How was that?
So I started off at Northwestern in the Big Ten, and I was there for 2 years. I loved the school. It basically because the academics are really, really strong, and obviously the Big Ten Conference is a good one too. So it was like the best of both worlds on paper. And then just through my experience, I felt like it wasn't the right fit for me basketball wise. And so after my sophomore year, I made the decision to transfer and ended up playing at St. Mary's in the Bay Area, California. So
Nice.
that ended up being a better fit for me on the court, and I had a great experience off the court as well. Made some really great connections and friendships that are still going. So yeah.
That is awesome. That is really awesome. So let's fast forward to the pro basketball thing. How's that been going for you? And let's talk about a few of the different countries where you've played at. You're really a globetrotter.
I'm making my way around.
For real.
Yeah, the professional journey has been a roller coaster, but I think a lot of people say the same thing. It's been such a learning and growth experience, and one that I'm so grateful for. But yeah, I started out in Ireland my first year, which was kind of nice just because like basically speak English, and there wasn't a huge like cultural kind of adjustment. So it was kind of like a nice way to ease myself in. And then following that, I played in France for 2 years, which was good, but the language barrier was really challenging. That was kind of my first experience with that. And like not really being able to speak to my teammates and things like that. So that was challenging, but I ended up my second year especially like had a really good season and experience. And then following that, I played in Spain last year for a short period of time, and then ended up leaving and going to Latvia to finish the season. And now I'm in Portugal. So that is my kind of journey so far.
Oh, that's great. And before I let Rene jump in here, because he always has wonderful questions with the off the court life. Shout out to your agent, Daniel Chachow. He's such a really good dude, and I know he really cares about his players. So if you don't mind, let's just talk about him for a second, because we know that in this business there's people who are so-called agents. There's people who hide behind the FIBA license who are really snakes, but shout out to your guy, because I know he cares about you and he's a really good guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Major shout out. He is, yeah, like I said, it's my 5th year playing and he's my 4th agent. So that just shows kind of the time that it's taken for me to actually find a really good one, and one that I have like a great relationship with, checks in constantly, and like I've believes in me and believes in like the goals that I have for myself, and shares those with me. So yeah, he's been phenomenal. He actually came out here to visit and see a game, and so yeah, his commitment to his clients is really good. So I'm finally happy that I found a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for the listeners, especially for the youngsters out there that are pro basketball dream chasing, it's a grind, and there's a lot of people who will. I can remember back in the days when I played in Finland, the agent, I won't even say his name, I'm so pissed off at him still, he sent me to Finland, and I get off of the plane and they're looking at me crazy. I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, yeah, well, your agent said that you were 6'10". I said, no, don't worry about it. I'm 6'5". I jump like I'm 6'10", people. Take it easy. Take it easy. But this is this is how it goes. Like sometimes agents will put you in a bad situation, and so shout out to him. Jump in there, Rene. Jump in there, bro.
Yeah. What I want to hear first, the first story what I want to hear, and as Joe already said, we apologize that we are currently recording this for the 3rd time due to some technical difficulties that we had. And I would love to hear your story. When you came to Ireland, you had something quite unusual, I would say, if you begin your pro journey, that you lived in a guest family. And how was that? They are still your best friends. They feel like a second family, you already told us, but tell it in your own words. How was that? And what was the good about that for you?
Yeah, so yeah, going into Ireland, I was told that I'd be living with a family, and like you said, it's unusual, and so I definitely was a little bit skeptical at first. but it ended up being such a great experience. I was really just kind of welcomed into the family like I was one of their own. And they had a daughter that was my age too. And now, yeah, like you mentioned, like we're best friends. And I actually spent Christmas with them this year because I didn't have enough time to go home. So it's really nice to just have that kind of connection on like overseas and people that I can rely on. Actually one of the great parts about it is they know like nothing about basketball. Like they're not like an athletic family. And it was really nice actually just to be able to just come home and like they'd come to the games and I'd play great and they'd be like, oh, great job. And then they'd come and I'd play terrible. Like, oh, great job. Like, no, but that's okay. So it was just nice to kind of have that reprieve from basketball sometimes and just kind of, you know, be someone just living overseas for a little bit.
Nice.
And what was different in terms of, you can answer this question twice. First of all, what people want to know, of course, what's different when you play basketball on the court? I mean, I'm sure there are differences between college and then professional basketball in Ireland, but then also people might want to know what are differences when you are in an Irish family. I'm sure there are some as well. What things you did not expect coming from the States?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be differences adjusting from, you know, college to professionals, and then also just from league to league, there's differences too. So like one of the main things about playing overseas, I think that can help like prolong your career is just being adaptable, and because you're always having to change to different environments, different styles of play and everything. So on the court there, yeah, you're definitely like, especially if the imports in that league are expected to carry a big load of the production for the team, which is great. But also kind of comes with its challenges at times. And then in terms of the family, it was just really close knit. Like we always mostly had dinner together, which was really nice. And like a lot of potatoes, like that stereotype of Ireland eating potatoes is true. But we laugh about it now, but it took me like 2 years to be able to look at a potato after.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I have to say.
Nice. And let me ask you this. I love to ask our guests this question. What advice would you give to the young lady who's in Cali right now or all over the world, who's you know, pretty good basketball player and dreaming about being a professional basketball player like yourself? What advice would you give that young lady?
I would just say first and foremost, like keep your joy for the game as like your priority. I think especially nowadays, like so young, basketball just can become a job. And yes, and now it is my job, and that's something I'm really grateful for. But like your motivation and the motor behind your work has to be your joy and your passion for the game, because otherwise you're just not going to be able to you know, put up with kind of some of the things that you have to go through, and you're going to be able to be more resilient if your love for the game stays number one. So that's like the first thing. And then also just as you elevate levels, like do your research and really just try to get connected with the right people to get you to be in the right positions for you to be successful. Kind of like we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people out there, and you just kind of have to navigate those that you can trust and those that can really help you to get where you need to go.
Very nice, very nice. Let's talk a little bit about I know that you're really into mental health, and to be honest, I'm not trying to, this isn't about me, this is all about you, but I just want to share with the viewers that and the listeners, there was a time in my life, right, when I just thought that, okay, if I don't make it to the NBA, like I felt like I was going to crash and burn, and I really felt I was like sick, you know. I mean, I realize it now, but at that time I couldn't, you know, I had to be this tough guy, you know. I'm from inner city, and you know, this whole tough guy macho thing, it's like I just couldn't bring myself to say, hey man, you know what, maybe I need some help, like maybe I'm really going crazy because of this basketball. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not making a joke, I'm laughing, but that's because I'm a clown. It's not anything to joke about. But And then as I moved forward, I found myself like, coming overseas. And at that time, there was no social media. So I was in complete isolation. I was really going crazy, So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that, about how you felt, let's say your rookie season, your first job, and you come here, or France probably would be a really good example where you come over here.
Mhm.
Everyone knows you're a great basketball player. Like, I mean, I love your game. You can really ball. But to be over here, and you're like, on the one side, you're saying, oh, this is great. I'm getting paid to do what I love to do. I've been dreaming about this since I was a little girl. But on the other side, it's like, hold on for a second. You guys aren't speaking any English. So it's feeling kind of weird right now, So, I mean, did that affect you mentally, or did you just,
Yeah.
could you handle that?
Absolutely. I think that one misconception about playing overseas is that it's super glamorous and like super, all you have to do is, play basketball, and that's fun. But yes, we are very blessed to do this, but it comes with major challenges that, like you mentioned, can really take their toll on your mental health. And I would say in France, it was difficult, especially my first year. I had more like English speaking teammates, so I was able to kind of develop some good friendships with them. But my second year, I was in a really, really small town, and like the coach spoke enough English for me to kind of understand what I was doing. But the president was the only one that really spoke English, like in the whole club, like none of the girls or anything. So it was really isolating. Just to, go day to day and just not even have like a full conversation with people. So yeah, that it definitely took its toll. And I'm lucky that I'm playing in the age of social media and FaceTime and all that. So I'm able to connect with my people back home or that
Awesome.
in other countries over here. So that is helpful. But yeah, like it definitely can have its challenges. But that's when you just kind of lean on the things that kind of center you and ground you, and get through it.
She's being humble, people. That's when she starts shooting threes. That's when she starts getting buckets. Jump in there, Rene. Jump in there, bro.
Did you actually try to learn the French language during that time?
Yeah.
Or was that like, okay?
No, I did. I got to the point where I was like able to, like, I wouldn't really need much translation on the court. Like I would know what he was saying in practice and in game. I could, have interactions at like a grocery store or that kind of like a restaurant and like those kind of things. So I could get by, but it was kind of the like conversational, like personal type of stuff that I didn't really quite acquire. I could understand more than I could speak, but it was challenging.
Yeah, that would take much longer to really get into deeper conversations. And this is also challenging for some guys who come to Europe, because first of all, you never know how long you will stay in one country. It might not even be one season, and then you probably like imagine someone, like we had guys here from a lot of countries in Europe, like from Montenegro, and I don't know if you learn Serbian language, and then the next time you get traded to Latvia, and it's completely different, and then you came to Portugal again, and it's so different. And that's also maybe the reason why a lot of ball players do not get into that, because they want to focus on playing the sport, and they want to focus on getting along during the day and somehow pass the rest of the time, because 90% of your time happens off the court, even if you're a professional basketball player, maybe 80, depending on how much you work out in the day. But this is challenging. Joe said you were into mental health. Like, what's behind that? What is that background?
So I was a psychology major in college, so I've always kind of had an interest in just human behavior and mindset. And really since like in college and a little bit in high school, like I've found that the mental side of the game is honestly a lot of times more challenging to me, like than the physical side. And so being able to kind of harness practices that can help keep my mind in the right spot for me to perform at my best kind of became a really particular interest to me in order to just enhance like my play. So I've really made a concerted effort in improving that. And then recently I joined Rise Athletes, which is an organization that was founded by 2 Olympian swimmers, and we pair youth athletes, mostly like high school age, with elite and professional athletes in like a mentorship type relationship. So we work on mindset development with them and kind of talk about mental health and that kind of those kind of things. So it's really exciting to kind of get these topics out there and get kids working on them at such a young age, and really to see the improvement, you know, at an earlier time than I was really able to harness it.
That's very interesting.
That's beautiful.
And I just want to tell a short story. What I kind of recognize, because I work with a lot of kids from different sports as well in competitive youth sports, kind of semi-professional in some cases, kids who want to be professionals. And what I found out is, like here in Germany, soccer is a big sport, but you could think about the same thing about basketball or football or any sport in the US. Imagine like there are thousands of kids within these big facilities of multi-million-dollar clubs, and these clubs, they only think about that one kid that comes out of this whole school that turns out to be a superstar, and think about those other 999 kids in that case that don't make it. Like they come there with a dream and they leave feeling like they lost in their life at a very young age, and this is mentally super challenging, and you have to think about those as well. And we have to kind of settle back to that thing that we all want to, like, this is the only thing that you can accomplish in sports, that you will be a professional. I mean, there's a lot more to it. You can, what I like to say is, when you do sports at a competitive level, and it doesn't matter if it's super professional or just like you're really good at it, you won't make it to professional level, but you're really good at it. Set your own goals and learn that you have to work for those goals. And when you finish that at some case, then you can transfer that to anything in life, to your personal life, to your work, to your, I don't know, if you ever be a entrepreneur on your own or whatever you do, you can just transfer that, and that's how you can learn that. And that's why mental health is such a great thing to talk about, especially with kids, because no matter how good you are, most kids, they won't make it just because this market is so small and only the best, and then things like talent and a lot of other things get to that as well. And that's great. Is that something you consider doing in the future as well, working that probably after your basketball career and combining sport and psychology in some cases?
Yeah, possibly. Right now, I want to get into coaching in college when I finish, and coaching has plenty of psychology in it as well. So
yeah, I know that.
So that's that's kind of my focus right now. But while I'm playing, it's a really great outlet for me to just be able to also just have something aside from playing to really delve into and focus my energy toward and seeing, like you said, like just the impact on kids. And I think you just kind of mentioned it, you know, when you're youth sports these days, like a lot of times their identity becomes involved and intertwined in their performance, and like if they don't have their sport, like then who are they? And so a lot of the work focuses on, like, you know, who are you as a person first versus just an athlete. Like there's many aspects to you that don't involve sport, and really highlighting those, and as well as your sports, and then being able to apply, like you said, the lessons that we learn through athletics into all other parts of our lives.
And I think it's really beautiful what you guys are doing with the mentorship with the youngsters, because I mean, me and you both know that AAU now it's becoming a business, and it's quite sad. I mean, when you think about, here's some 12 or 13-year-old, and you know they're recruiting them so heavily, and you know even hitting them up on the gram, and you know trying to to contact them through DMs. And yes, so you need someone, you need that one person, a woman like you who's a pro, and you're like, hey, if you're that young girl, you're 14, you're a baller, and different schools are just tugging at you. It's like a tug of war. You've been through it. It's like I have. And they're recruiting you heavily, and you don't really know which way to go. And so, but it's great that a youngster will have someone like you to lean on and say, hey, you know what? Well, I'm thinking about this school, that school, and that school. I mean, what do you think? You know, and that really, that's just a beautiful thing, for real, for real.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's just nice to be a support system and just a source of guidance for people, like that you said, navigating just the life and growing up in sport. You know, it can be challenging. So just trying to provide some help.
And on a lighter note, it must be a great job to be able to go out there and look at that, because I haven't been to Portugal yet, but it's definitely on my bucket list. And I heard that the sunsets there, and I heard it's just so beautiful there, really.
Yes, it's definitely probably one of my favorite countries that I've been to. I'm really lucky. I live on the beach. Like, I can see the ocean from my bedroom window. It's so nice.
Oh my God.
And
that's
like
awesome.
you said, the sunsets are unreal, just on the balcony. So really fortunate to be living where I am right now. And yeah, it's a really beautiful country. It's really nice, especially like being from California. I love the beach, and it kind of feels like a little bit like home to be here. So yeah, it's nice.
Oh, very nice. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, because if I told you about what happened to me when I tried to surf, you can take a wild guess of how that played out with Big Joe.
That's right.
Can you do you surf, or are you into it?
No, that's where I'm a failed Californian. I don't.
That's all good.
If I stick to the swimming for me, I'll be good.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. What about you, Rene? You're a surfer, Rene?
No, I've never tried that. I tried a lot of sports, actually, and a lot of fun stuff, but I never did that. I've actually also never been to some place where it would be that good. I traveled a few months to Southeast Asia. There it would have been possible, but I never tried it. No, not yet. But I should probably.
Awesome. So, what do you see in the future? What's your immediate plans? I mean, of course, right now you guys. How's the playoff picture look? Everything looking good for your team?
We've hit a couple bumps in the road recently, just with just different, things that we're going through. But I think that we're finding our momentum again, and we've got 3 games left this week in the regular season, and then we start playoffs after that. So I do think we're moving in the right direction. So I'm excited to see what we can do in playoffs, make a run for it.
Awesome. I mean, that's kind of like, so you guys have what is it, like 3? It's in 3 days, 3 games, or you guys will get a small break, right? Will you get like a 1 or 2 day off, or do you guys have to do like a back-to-back? How's that going to go?
For this week, it's 3 games in 5 days, so we have like a break in the middle. But then moving forward, playoffs is like 1 to 2 times a week, so it'll be a little bit more spread out.
That's almost like NBA game plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been crazy lately, just with makeup games and such.
I'm sure it's also a bit COVID affected, because schedules had to be moved and games. Yeah, it's not usual, and we're experiencing that in a lot of countries and for a lot of players right now. That's not the usual thing, and hopefully next year it's going to be normal again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, but do you like that format? I mean, because for me, like in my playing days, I like to, if we had a game, a back-to-back game, it was much. I mean, practice kind of bored me, to be honest. Like, I just was going through the motions just to keep it real. You know what I mean? But I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like, okay, if the games are close, is that much better than practice, or are you just cool with once a week, or how do you view it?
No, I like more games the merrier. Like, let's go.
Exactly.
That's good.
That's awesome. Anything you want to add, Rene?
No, it was great talking. I especially enjoyed that mental also combined with sport effect, and even high level sports. It's a great thing. I work on a track and field class I train with, that is fairly successful. I work with a sports psychologist together, and we also talk about that. And it is in pro sports. I feel like the mental side of the game is much more quantifiable. Like you can grow much more within that. There is no measurement for that, of course. You can measure it like free throw percentage, or I don't know, going in the weight room doing squats or something. But anyway, I feel like, let's take these things. If you improve like 10% in the weight room or on your percentage, it's great. But I feel like mentally you can triple, or I don't know, I can see you 10 times better being mentally. And that's the great thing about that. You can't really you can't really measure it, but you can feel that, I'm sure. When you've been into psychology and those things, you can feel that, and that's great. And I really enjoy talking about it.
Awesome.
So anything you want to add, Joe?
We just wanted to say thanks so much for coming back on. It's really a pleasure. And for me, it's like really a breath of fresh air, because I'm not a hater, but I've met a lot of basketball players who are like me, who forget plays, just really athletic, running, jumping, dunking. But, you know, I won't call myself dumb, but I wouldn't say I had a very high basketball IQ. So you're really a breath of fresh air. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
So good luck for the rest of the season.
Always
for the remainder.
For part two. Always welcome for part two.
Good luck for the rest of the season and the playoffs. And hopefully talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.